and welcome back to part 20 of Dragonstar Varnir, where today we got a bit of a beefer for you, because we're going through the entirety of the Forest of Death. And the reason why it's all in one part is because for some baffling reason, this entire dungeon kept on glitching out every time I was recording. So eventually I was like, no, get it all in one video and get it out of the way. Yeah, I don't know what was going on. Every time I played through this dungeon in my spare time, it's been fine. The moment I pressed the record button though, weird things started to happen. I just don't think it was like built like tightly enough to be able to be prepared for something in the background to also be working at the same time, like recording. So it just kept on falling apart and having weird issues as I was going through. And the recording you're seeing is merely the smoothest I got. And even then it wasn't perfect, as you'll see later on. But the Forest of Death as a whole, as the name suggests, can be pretty brutal, and there's even more enemies that can be time wastery, sort of like the underground passageway. Although personally I'd argue it's not as bad as the underground passageway in terms of enemies wasting time. The zombie enemies can be a little annoying just because they seem to take a while to kill, but outside of that you really shouldn't be too bad. Right off the bat there's a left and right turn, and I assume the right turn is the wrong way to go and it's the right way to go, so we'll be backtracking to show off the left area later on in the video, since I ended up leaving it behind a little bit. Also, there's a giant shark dragon enemy that you can find in here that is tied to a side quest, so if you want to try and find that sooner rather than later, go for it. Also, this one happened to be accompanied by a wind dragon, and by my sheer luck I got that wind dragon in one. There's another encounter of a wind dragon coming up, and it nearly wipes the whole team because I didn't get the devour early on. Because it's a bad habit, and it's a habit I've been doing all Let's Play. I'm not about to break it off because it's been enough to pull me through, but it's not a good one to have. If I know I need to devour an enemy, I will just spam devour until I get it. And it's a terrible habit. You should treat it like Pokemon, try and weaken them down first, then do it. But early game, you're so likely to accidentally kill the enemy that you end up getting it in your head of just going right from the start, unless you have a special like this, where you can eliminate the effort. Because even if you don't get the devour, you've just laid on 6,000 odd damage, and she didn't get it. So at this point I'm like, alright fine, I'll weaken it down a little bit and give it another go. But the next time Charlotta circles round, it'll be good enough to get. Doesn't happen. Or doesn't happen as well as I'd hoped. So I'm like, okay, yeah sure, we'll carry on. People have only been hit by like a third of their health, which should have been like the first red flag that I didn't really register. Because now Zephy's dead. Look at everyone's health. I was like, uh-oh, this needs to go now. So I was like, useful relief, get Zephy up, but someone else isn't living. Because it was either get him up or try and heal and hope it just didn't accidentally kill. So now Zephy's the only one left. I'm like, uh-oh. It's like this went from bad to worse very quickly. So I'm like, just push for the devour. I know Zephy's the one that's got it, but just end the fight and get us out of here, and I can pick them up later. I was like, ugh. I was tempted to straight up leave. You saw me consider it. I was tempted to just use the mole hole and just get out immediately, but I was like, no, I can press on from that. I can just heal up and use relief, but it was still a bit like, ugh. And then there's another one right here. Thankfully I get through it a lot smoother, so I didn't need to keep it in, but I wanted to keep that last one in just so you could see how difficult it can be if you give them things room to breathe. Look at how much health Vanessa didn't have on that one, and that one I said wasn't that interesting, so I cut it out. Like the wind dragons, you deal with them early or they'll deal with you. But the Forest of Death is, thankfully, the last forest-based area of the game, which is something that, although it is a criticism, isn't a criticism I'm going to like hammer down too heavily, because once again the budget for this game wasn't big, which is such a grand shame because it's a magnificent idea and I love this game so much, despite the fact it's got so many drawbacks due to just not having the money to be as experimental as they want. And the biggest indicator of it is the fact that you go through so many forests just so they can reuse assets and reuse the track. Almost left. I was trying to use Karikara there. Also, something that I didn't realise is it doesn't pop up in my recording yet. It pops up a little later on, but I didn't realise that you could do that. Kind of destroys one of the criticisms that I had before. You don't actually need to use L1 to swap between the cast. the criticism I had is that I didn't like the fact that if you wanted Zephy and you was on Manessa, you had to press L1 5 times to get back to Zephy to use whatever his ability was. Like to break down the shield, sort of thing. If you wanted to get out as Manessa and you're playing as Karikara, you're pressing it 5 times to get to it. You don't need to do that. Left and right on the D-pad will also swap between the characters. Right swapping the same direction as L1, but left swapping oppositely. So if you're Karikara and want Manessa, you just tap left once and you'll go to it. That really mitigates the issue that I had of it just being a time waste of having to roll through everyone. I still think it would be cool if this game ever gets a sequel to have it that if you hold down L1 it comes up with like a character wheel and you can just do it from that.
Get ready.
Because I also know they're not going to do it for Death End 2, but Death End 2, as far as I can tell, only has 3 playable characters, so I mean what's the issue really there? Oh, I think they're Chrome Lodgers, which is why I just pushed. I was like, no, these guys die. After my encounter with them in the underground, where they ended up causing so much trouble, I was like, no, these guys aren't staying. Okay, thank you, Manessa. I was getting worried then. And I was like, seriously? Just clean it up with Charlotta and get this going. But yeah, in my efforts to record, this was my 4th time running through the Forest of Death, because it either crashed or soft locked every time, and it was only when I was recording. That's why I'm blaming it on that. When I wasn't recording, this never had a single issue, but it was lagging out at points. So you're going to see an odd stutter throughout this video. It was lagging out when it never done that before. It crashed several times, and I kind of wish one of the runs that I had, because I wasn't going to keep the run anyway, but the fact that it crashed like immediately after meant I lost the footage. I got a berserk, so like the footage was going to be dead, but I was at least going to be able to show it off. I finally got a berserk off. It was Manessa. She went berserk when she went into her dragon form. It did the red fog, and she couldn't contain it, and she was far more dangerous and deadly. And I was like, oh great, at least I've got it to show off, even though I won't be able to keep this footage in the main run because it affects your madness scale. It's at least cool I managed to show it off once, and then the game immediately crashed and I lost the footage. And I was like, great. So I've seen it, but I haven't been able to actually save the recording for it. So I would say hopefully it will pop up again later on, but the only way it's popping up now is me doing another playthrough, because I've got past the time limit, so your madness no longer matters. So anything that would affect your madness ceases to exist. Once you get on the other side of the time limit and get into the 11th chapter, you will no longer ever get berserk forms, because your madness level is locked where it is, because of you've already been decided what ending you're getting, so it doesn't matter anyway. In the same vein, the children won't need to be fed anymore the moment you touch chapter 11. You'll go through 10 chapters and then you go into something called the interlude, and then after the interlude you're clear. But the interlude is no dungeons. There isn't a single dungeon in the interlude. The interlude is literally just there to determine what ending you're getting. It's a boss fight and then a lengthy cutscene, and the lengthy cutscene is giving away to you what ending you are working towards. Which is nice, because then you don't have to go through like the whole end game just to find out if you got the ending you hope you got. Even though the checklist is fine, if it's your blind playthrough and you haven't been looking it up, you might not be aware of what ending you're actually working towards. Ultimately, just have the kids alive and keep your madness scale below 15% and you're good. If your madness scale goes too high, you're getting the normal ending. All 3 of the kids die, you're getting the worst ending. That being said, at some point, it's not going to be when this initial Let's Play finishes, but at some point later down the road, I will come back to this game and do a second playthrough of it and record it, showing off the opposite end of the scale of this playthrough, showing off what happens if your madness scale goes off the charts, if the kids die early on, how it affects every action in this game. It won't be the same length, like I won't do the whole game again, I'll just show off every significant difference throughout the story and then how it ends up. Because, like spoilers, it changes a lot. Any and all scenes you see involving the 3 kids are drastically different when you know they're dead. And as you might have noticed, now they're reading ancient texts and learning a few things, that's going to be relevant to the plot in some way, because it's the whole thingy's gun thing. I forget what the expression's called. If you know what I'm talking about, you know what I'm talking about. It's the whole, if you mention something in the plot, you have to do something with it, otherwise why did you mention it? It's that idea. So the fact that it's mentioned that the kids are learning to read the ancient text, you know it's going to have significance later on in some extent that they wouldn't be able to give you if they're dead, because none of the main witches are going to bother learning. So it's just how it is. Up here's another wind dragon though, and you're going to see me approach these guys with a little bit more caution every time. Thankfully, I think I got a devour on that one like straight away as Charlotta, so it didn't get a chance to do anything.
This looks handy.
And you're likely to get either death weapons or black weapons down here, or black armor equipment even. The black stuff is really damn good, so you might want to try and get a hold of it if you can. If not, don't worry about it. You can make black elixirs later on, so you can get the black armor equipment or the black weapons if you so desire. But at the same time, even though the Forest of Death stuff is great, after this area, the next dungeon also has amazing stuff in it you're probably going to want. And it has better elixirs to make some really god tier stuff. Stuff so strong that it might even carry you to the end of the game if you so desire. What was odd though is that when I was going with the successful run I got, there was one particular enemy that isn't even that rare that I didn't encounter once, so I had to backtrack for just to encounter it to show it off. There's a giant snake-like dragon in here as well, similar to one we fought before, but a different variation with different skills tied to it and such. And it didn't pop up once when I was doing the main journey. It was also at this point where I was like, oh right, I've gone the right way the whole way through. I need to go back and do the other path in a second then. But it was just like, huh? Like, it's the fact that I didn't get it once on this push through, meaning I knew I'd have to go back for it. Thankfully, I at least get it when I'm exploring that other area, like the other part of the Forest of Death that we haven't been to. Oh, there's our recipe, by the way, if you want to make the black elixirs. I think that's what that one was. There's another skeleton dragon here. Keep in mind there's two variants down here. You got the normal skeleton ones, and then you got the kings. The king variants can summon the smaller ones around, so be wary when fighting them that you don't get overwhelmed. If the Chrome Lodgers have taught you anything, it can happen. You can get absolutely just overwhelmed and taken over if you are not cautious. It was all 49 though. Fair warning, I'm a little over leveled at this point, which wasn't my intention. It was just because I was using the gold thingy-mid-bobs to double experience on the bosses so I could reduce grinding. I ended up doing it too much apparently, because I was noticing at this point I was like, I'm a little bit higher than I probably should be. Not by too much, but by enough that the main fights aren't too bad. It's only the boss fights that are real threats. And the reason why I make this point is because we end up going a little bit back to it, because reversely, because I notice it, starting next dungeon I end up skipping a few more fights just because I didn't want to be over leveled. And it ends up making a lot of trouble. Also, the fact that two of them booked it, I was like, go for it. If all of them want to book it, I've lost far less, because Charlotta's dead, so she wasn't going to get the experience anyway, which is the only way characters will miss out on experience. But by the time we get here, we've got to the death depths. And so I immediately get out, check on the kids. They've gone to stage 3, meaning they need a lot of food to get back up to normal. And you can see that's why I'm approaching it one step at a time, because it's like, okay, how much do the kids need? So try and make it like as bare minimum to get them across the line as possible, because of course you do. Because if you can get them across the line with as little as possible, you've got more room to breathe. That being said, look at how full the purple meter is on all 3 of the kids. It's not actually that much. And we're at the end of the Forest of Death, and after this it's only one more dungeon, and then we're done with this time limit. So even though I've been racing through, you can see what I mean hopefully by why I said don't worry about it too much. But when I went back to record, this is one of the soft locks I got, and I actually managed to keep this one on recording thankfully, so I kept it in. It literally zoomed, like the camera zoomed in on this enemy, said they were going to do an attack, and they never moved. And it only started happening when I was recording, so I was like, I'm going to keep that one in, because I at least managed to get that one on recording, so I could show you what I mean. It just stayed like that for eternity, and I had to reset the game. When I started going to the other area, I did get an encounter against this Yolmoon Guado thingy-majig, whatever its name is. The giant snake dragon thing that can be found down here. Although a bit of a beefy one, its skills are worth getting. The reason why there's a tick on it though, is because I had another crash and it didn't save. So I had everything you just saw in the dungeon, I did again, and I ended up encountering one there. Because I knew in the main recording I hadn't encountered one, I knew to keep this one in. That's why I've already got a Devour on it.
I'll devour you.
Miss. It's also got, it's not too bad of an evasion stat, but it's high enough of an evasion stat to be a little annoying. So just keep your party topped up if you ever fight one of these things, because they're probably the strongest enemy you're going to find down here. And just if you can get them, because their skills are worth the hassle.
My turn.
Also, whilst we're waiting for this fight to go on, I hope the past few parts haven't been too bad recording wise, because where it's been so much hotter here in the UK, like we've been averaging 30 Celsius every day, and that's like outside. Inside, because you know aircon isn't a commonplace thing in the UK compared to say the US, it's been absolutely melting. I've had windows open, I've had fans on, I've had everything just to try and mitigate the damage a little bit, but I've also had to do things like put my door to and put the windows a little bit to, just to mitigate noise pollution and not make it as bad. So hopefully it hasn't been too bad. Like I can imagine the odd truck that's passed by has like been picked up on the mic, and maybe my fan, when I had it on the higher setting yesterday, got picked up a little bit, but I couldn't hear it when I checked back on the recording, so hopefully that was alright. And hopefully it's not too bad today either, because I've got my fan on again, and it keeps on blowing like directly at me, and I was worried it'd pick up on the mic, like you know when you're on the phone and it picks up in the wind, but I don't think it'll be that bad. I'm a little bit more cautious than that. But I can only apologise, it's just because it's way too hot, and I'm not about to melt myself just to get the optimum sound quality, when my sound quality isn't as good as most YouTube channels anyway. And that's just because I don't have a proper recording system and a proper mic set up. I use my gaming mic, my rather expensive one, but I use my gaming mic for everything, and I just plug it into my controller and go. Like, it's a proper old school way of doing it, and I can imagine it'll get cleared up a lot come next gen with like the extra tech and whatnot, that even if I did it the same way again, the mic quality would improve anyway. But at some point I'd love to get a proper mic stand and put it all together like properly. It's just if I can get it organised to plug straight into my PS4 essentially. If I can do that, we're in business. I do one more check on the kids. Thankfully they didn't drop a phase because we wasn't out that long, but that is every bit of that area I wanted to cover. So you see another cut there because that was me saving to make sure I had everything I wanted in my recording so I didn't lose it again before we then press on to this next boss fight. Is it over? Just how many dragons are there? No matter how many we take down, there always seems to be more. He must look like a delicious meal. I would prefer it if it didn't become dragon food. Hey, this doesn't look good. The dragons are grouping up together. Damn it, we were too loud. If they all attack us at once, we won't be able to handle it. Yeah, alright, let's get out of here. Yeah, if you get overwhelmed, you're screwed. No, there's no way out. Charlotta, are we getting close to our location? Yeah, almost there. We just turned the corner and... Whoa, what the? This one's huge. If we get trapped by this thing, we'll be done for. Isn't there another way? Look, all the other dragons are leaving. Are the other dragons afraid of it? Maybe this dragon is the lord of the Forest of Death. Do you think they're offering food to that dragon? What? I don't want to be its food. Ah! Ah, this thing is intense. It's alright, we stand a better chance facing this one dragon than a horde of them. Everyone, let's go. Oh, so Charlotta's completely on board of us being here now. She wasn't on board earlier when we was like, yeah, we're following you. But meet Ordian. Ordian is a free-phased boss, like 3 levels, and it has an instant kill attack called Death Invitation. So you want to get rid of that middle piece as soon as possible. Well, as soon as first I try and get the nerfs on it just to give us a better chance. But you need to be aware that it has an instant kill. It's not got that high of a chance of connecting, but it's high enough that you don't want it to stay. Even if it's like a 1% chance, you'd still want to get rid of it first.
My turn.
I think it's like a 10% chance. Like it's high enough to be a threat, but it's not like it's going to get it every turn, theoretically. It also has Tail Whip, which isn't too bad, but here's Death Invitation. You can see it missed there. But it's only going to try and get an instant kill. It also has Weakened Defense, which is brutal. It hits a whole row and it weakens both your physical and your magic defense, which is the last thing you want when this thing is as threatening as it is. Even without Death Invitation, it has a lot of row-wide based skills that hit like a truck.
This is the dragon inside.
Go for physical attack, Rob. There we go. Because it is weak to the bonk-based attacks like maces or hammers. So if you've got Fairy or Manessa in your main party, you'll be able to get more physical damage out of it. And since physical damage kind of dominates in the right hands, you're going to be able to rip through a lot of its health bar whilst Manessa's in her dragon form, or Fairy if you go with it. Okay, it missed. It's always kind of like you hold your breath for a second because it can happen, and you know it will eventually. It also has water-based attacks, primarily, which is why it's weak to ground, because it's just the way they handle the cycle of the elements. So Charlotta being in the party might be a bit dangerous because she's weak to water, being a fire-type person. But it isn't too bad. This boss doesn't hit, like, hideously hard with its magic attacks. It's its physical attacks that I think are the bigger threat. So if you can just get rid of its instant kill, you can worry about the rest as it comes, which is what I've just done. Death Invitation is gone so we can breathe. So I top up the party and get cracking on, because although Manessa's doing fine, because it's, you know, the element she is, so she's not going to take as much damage, everyone else is going to be feeling it a little bit more, especially Charlotta being weak to it. I also top Zephy up with Fighting Spirit, so when he eventually dragon forms, we can really rip and tear with the added attack bonus. So next go for the Tail Whip, so if we can get rid of that. It's lost a row-wide attack. Not many of them. Not I say only the one, but it's at least something.
Let's go.
Also, Karikaro, Lifesaver, protected Zephy from getting his defense tanked.
I'll make you disappear.
My turn.
And it's possible 65. That's kind of the only thing about this, is that the level of the enemies kind of don't mean that much. Because you'll look at that and go like, wow, shit, they expect us to be level 65 at this point? Maybe if you're on the hardest difficulty, maybe? But I'm like level 49, like everyone's like approaching level 50. We're under-leveled for this thing in that sense, and we're going to get through this fight. It's not like you don't need to grind to get up it, you can pull your way through with good strategy.
Are you okay?
But something that I will compliment this game on, that I haven't had the opportunity to, and probably won't any other time anyway, because I won't show game overs. Every time you die to a boss, it won't just come up saying return to the den like it would if you died to a normal enemy. It will actually come up giving you statistics on what went wrong to try and help you if you go for the next fight. It will break down your failure, which although might feel a little patronizing to say that it breaks down your failure, it's extremely helpful when you read it, and I wish more JRPGs in the future would pick up on it, because it's an amazing feature. It's the most underrated thing about this game, is that magnificent feature in the game over. It'll come up and it will say what was wrong, whether it was you're just under-leveled, whether it was a poor strategy but you're the right level, or if it was just poor luck. Like you had the strategy down, you were the right level, but you lost anyway. It'll come up saying, look, I think you just got unlucky. And then next to it, it will give you a percentage chance saying if you did what you did again at your current level or current equipment and current strategy, how likely are you to win next time?
Inside me. Release.
And so it'll be like, say, 50%, and it's like, well, if you do it again, it's like a 50-50 chance. You might win it, you might not. Or it might say 0%, like on my blind playthrough when I get to the optional super boss of this game, I got wrecked by it and it came up just saying hard, 0%, go away. You need to rethink this, man. And it's like, I love that. Like getting that information, that detail, that direct communication from the game saying, look, you're not strong enough level wise, or your equipment isn't up to scratch, or your strategy wasn't good enough, or you just got unlucky. It's such an amazing feature about this game, and it's my favourite thing that this game introduces to the table, and it amazes me that it hasn't been kind of acknowledged by anyone else. And I know why. It's because this game didn't sell too well and it wasn't that popular, which I still think is a grand shame because this game's amazing. But it's like the best new feature I've seen come out of a turn-based JRPG in years. Having something break down your failures instead of just telling yourself, oh, maybe I'm just not a high enough level, or oh, maybe I just wasn't smart enough. Because sometimes that is the thing. Like, I remember being like 8 or 9 when I played Persona 4 and getting stuck on that 8-bit boss in the 4th dungeon. And I was the right level for it. I was like level 40 something. I was a good level for it. My strategy just wasn't good because I was a kid, so I was bum rushing it. But I didn't know that. I just assumed I was under leveled to grind it out more until I eventually powered my way through. Because I was a kid. Like I said, I didn't know any better. Whilst now I'm older, I'm like, no, what went wrong was that was my strategy. I was actually significantly over-leveled. I just had a really poor strategy. I just went on the aggression and hoped for the best. It was amazing I even got that far in hindsight, but it is what it is.
Ready? How's this?
And it's like, I wish the game had broke that down to me, because if I was a kid, like even when I was a kid, I enjoyed reading, so it wasn't like, well, I say that, I didn't enjoy reading books, I enjoyed reading texts, I enjoyed reading games, I enjoyed reading text bubbles and seeing game dialogue. I just didn't really read books that much, which is kind of ironic, as now I'm inspired to be an author when I'm later down the line in my years.
Thank you.
But we'll see about that one. Maybe one day I'll be able to advertise my book on this channel, which just putting it out there, if it ever did come to that, I absolutely would. I would do a dedicated video, I'd talk about it, I'd do a blurb, I'd talk about characters, I would have like a full dedicated video being like, hey guys, I wrote a book, please buy it. I'd proper sell myself out like that and be like, please buy book, please.
This is the dragon
I say that, but even if I did get a book out there, which I plan to, I've got a book written and it's ready to go. I just need a front cover for it, and then it's good to go. But if that ever comes to it, I'm not actually too fussed if it sells well or not. For me, it'd just be a matter of saying I've done it. Like the pride of saying I actually did this and can like talk about it to friends and family that I published a book. But I'm getting off topic quite significantly now. The point is, this game has a really cool feature in the game over. And to be fair, some players that play it don't even experience it once, because they just do what I do. They realise that game overs affect your madness scale, so the moment they get a game over, just quit the game like it's an old school game over. So they just miss that text bubble. They just miss that bit on the screen telling you what went wrong in your strategy. So it only does it for boss fights, because in normal fights there's so many more variables that could have affected it accidentally that it just doesn't bother. Like if you're fighting against the Chrome Lodger, what's it going to say?
Use this.
It duplicated dragons so much and you got outnumbered, try not to let that happen again. You can't help shit like that. Or like, just to jump ahead of it a little bit, if a Chrome Lodger goes to clone itself off of one of your teammates and it clones itself off a teammate that's in their dragon form, it will get all of their stat boosts as well. And suddenly you've got an enemy that's going to be ripping out several thousand damage in a single attack. And it can game over you in one turn and you not even know what hit you because of it. And that's kind of what I mean as well. That wasn't going to tell you, you just got really unlucky, man, sorry. No, leave it for the boss fights where it's more controlled, more singular, and you can focus on what's important and what isn't, and what went wrong, and work from there. Especially because, realistically, if you're gonna die, it's gonna be from the bosses more likely.
Prepare yourself.
But we're nearly at the last gasp of this guy anyway. So he's not too bad, you just gotta be wary of his physical stuff, and try not to keep everyone on the same row. And the fact that he buffs himself every now and then as well makes him a little bit more worrying. But we're right near the end of this fight, you can see we've got through it pretty fine. Even if it likes to target water attacks on Charlotta a lot because it's picked up on that she's weak to it, it's still not going to take too much. I didn't really need to heal here, but I was just like, better be safe than sorry, just in case I somehow miss or something. Or it doesn't die in the next attack. Which it doesn't anyway, so it was a good thing to do. I say that, she managed to get another attack, so Manessa, finish it off with your 3,000 damage. Yeah!
Somehow we managed to win.
And we get the Audion Dragon Core because it's a boss, and everyone's up to level 51. And Feria, you should start noticing, is catching up. She isn't 10 levels behind, she's level 47. She's only 4 levels behind now. Okay, so the place we're going is just beyond here. Follow me. We're still going? Hey, what are we gonna do? There better be a way back. We've come this far, we might as well see this through. Besides, after beating that dragon, I'm sure we're able to deal with anything. What are you waiting around for? I'm gonna leave you behind. Okay, we're coming. Hey, wait! Here it is. I didn't think there would actually be a grave all the way out here. But why is it a single grave here? There's no flowers on it, and the tombstone looks pretty dirty. I don't think anyone's been here for quite a while. Sorry it's been so long since my last visit. Are you the only one that visits this grave? Yeah, and I really wanted to come here today. Today must be her anniversary. I'm glad I could make it. What is it, Manessa? This grave, it looks ancient. Did you know this witch? Wouldn't she have passed away a long time ago? Yeah, there's no way you'd actually know her, right? Haven't you noticed that I'm not exactly an ordinary witch? I may look youthful, but I've actually been alive since before any of you were born. What? Truth is, I'm almost 200 years old. I mean, it's not like I kept track, so I don't know my exact age. 200 years old? What do you mean? You never went mad or became a dragon? How could you have lived that long? Didn't I just say I'm not an ordinary witch? You were all born from the treasure of life. That is something we do not have in common. The easiest way to put it is that I'm the incarnation of VARNIR. VARNIR's incarnation? Isn't VARNIR its very star itself? I'm getting confused. Just tell us what the hell you're talking about in words that we can all understand. Basically, the witch VARNIR created to search for the one who had birthed the next dragon star. That's me. I'm a manifestation of VARNIR, its clone. I see, that's why you've been alive for so long. No wonder you knew so much about the past, about the dragon star. I never would have guessed that this was the reason behind it. Charlotta, you're really not the same as us? Faria, don't look at me like that. It stings a little. As I told you all before, VARNIR is in need of a new dragon star. Over the past couple of centuries, I've been sneaking into dens and living among the witches. I have acted as a guide for them so that they can make an attempt in becoming the next dragon star. When people started to question me, I would fake my death and enter a deep sleep. I'd wake up a few decades later, enter another den, and attempt the process again. I've been doing this for a long time. But it's no use. No matter how many witches I meet that seem like they could become the next dragon star, none have ever been successful. I just got tired, and that was when I met the young witch here. I always just wandered into dens, blended in for a while, and then I would take off the next one. I never belonged anywhere. It was no way for me to make friends though. I was always alone. This one, she was the only person who ever actually liked me. What? We like you, Charlotta. Zephy, didn't you once see a grave that had my name written on it? Yeah, I saw it a while ago. I thought it was odd that you shared your name. I'm sorry I lied to you. That grave was mine. What are you talking about? When I went to sleep, and she thought I had died, she made this grave for me. I see. No wonder it looks so old. Even after I disappeared, no one ever cared for me. She was the only one who ever did anything like this for me. Never seen Charlotta's eyes hold such warmth. Maybe this was the only girl Charlotta ever opened up to. Hey, why is such a kind witch buried in a place like this? She was executed by her fellow witches. What? Executed? For a witch to kill a witch? What kind of sin did she commit? It wasn't just a simple transgression, it was a forbidden act. She committed the ultimate taboo. She fell in love with a human. A witch and a human in love? That's the same as my parents? But why? Why did they kill her for that? Listen carefully, everyone. I'm about to tell you the truth of the Lost Witch. The truth of the Lost Witch? A century ago, the people of this world actually understood the role of the witch. Witches weren't targets of hate, they were revered as motherly figures who gave birth to the dragon star. What do you mean? The way you phrase it, it's as if... Yes, back then, humans praised and worshipped both witches and dragons as holy deities. They were revered and honoured. What? No, look at how they treat us now. That can't be true. It's hard to believe, I know. There was even a den within the Empire that cared for and protected both witches and dragons. So then, what happened? What changed? Witches then saw themselves as divine beings, aware that any one of them could become the next dragon star. When they discovered a witch had fallen in love with a powerless human, they were furious. I'm sure they thought such a thing tainted the divinity of the witch. I'm sure they saw it as a gross abomination. What? He was a bishop she had fallen in love with, and for him such a thing was absolutely forbidden. Witches were worshipped, not wooed. He tried to tell the Emperor in order to get his blessing, but it only angered the Emperor in the end. They fled, having nowhere to run. They had a terrible end. What? Despite her being their family, they still chose to execute her over that? I don't think I can emphasize with the witches of the past. When it happened, I was still in a deep sleep. By the time I woke up, it was too late. That's why I made this grave here, so no one would find it. So no one would defile it. What's the matter? You seem so pensive. Well, yeah, I just found it odd. What do you mean? Isn't it strange? How did the truth about the witches become so warped? How did it get like this? Yeah, it is strange. I don't think it was as simple as just being forgotten over the course of history. Yeah, I think someone deliberately hid the truth. Who would do such a thing? Well, when you were in the Knights of Requiem, they reinforced these ideas of hatred towards witches, didn't they? Yeah, they did. All the ancient books I read in the Empire's library, they all talked about witches being cursed. Witches are filth, they will stop at nothing to destroy the future of the planet. We recited stuff like that all the time. Ugh, I hate hearing that. The Knights weren't the only ones who think that way, the people do too. The Emperor lost knowledge of witches and began to turn their praise and worship towards VARNIR, calling it the Holy God. Perhaps this was the Bishop's revenge. Maybe he left behind written doctrines to make future generations believe something different from the truth. Why would he go so far to do that? Perhaps to destroy the world, to influence the Empire to kill all witches and with it, any chance of this world's survival. Incredible, or I don't know if that's the right word I should be using, but it's really something. Yeah, to have the love of your life murdered, I can see how that could fill a person with incredible rage, enough to do that. That single tragedy warped the entire world. That's just so terrible. Now we know the truth. What do we do? How do we end the cycle? Charlotta, can you give me some of the flowers? What? Why? I want to give something to the witch who lies here. Me too. It's too sad. She shouldn't have to be alone here. Me too. I'd like to as well, may I? I was hoping I could have one too. Everyone. I know this won't forgive what the witches of the past did, but I can at least offer these flowers to her in remembrance of her love. I'm ashamed of what they did to her. Thank you. I'm sure she'd appreciate it. She looks heartbroken, bless her. Give her a hug. Isn't that sweet, Finay? So, what do we do now? Now that we know the truth about witches, there's really only one thing left to do. The curse needs to be lifted. Someone needs to become the next Dragon Star. We should continue with the plan and head to the final Star Temple then, right? Okay, let's head back to the den and get ready for the journey. Yeah, let's go! Charlotta, what's up? Let's go. Oh, you want me to come with you? What are you talking about? You don't want to come, Charlotta? I've been lying to you all this time to try and complete my objective. That is true, you did lie about why we were going to the temples, and you did claim to be the Witch of Hellfire. But you were also the only person who really knew the truth, and you gave us hope to believe we could lift the curse, right? I still don't fully understand why you had to pretend to be the Witch of Hellfire, but I don't really care anymore. Huh? No matter how much you lied, or what you chose to lie about, I know you wouldn't have betrayed your friends. Yeah, you can hide whatever you want, but we know who you are now. We get it. You're so dumb for trusting me this much. What? Should we not? No, I don't need to anyway. I have nothing to hide. And I was pretending to be the Witch of Hellfire so I could lure out the real one. Oh, that Bendika person? So you already contacted her, huh? Bendika hates the witches. I think she's trying to stop the Dragon Star from being born. So, you were trying to lure her out and settle the score? Why would you attempt something so dangerous on your own? If you try and pull something like that again, you really won't hear the end of it. What? Did you already forget that we're friends now? You aren't going to do this alone. I would have normally punched you in the gut for something like that, but I'm going to let it slide this time. Yeah, just talk to us next time, okay? We're going to fight alongside you. This isn't going to change. Charlotta, please! I want to keep fighting with you by my side. You're all so naive. This is why it's so easy to deceive you. What are you saying? You seriously need to watch that mouth. I wasn't always this cold, especially when she was still alive. Living for as long as I have, even if you find a few witches you get along with, they just end up dying so quickly. I saw so many friends die, one after the other. My heart turned to stone. Before I knew it, the only thing I cared about was my destiny. I stopped thinking twice about whatever decisions I needed to make, no matter how cruel they were. I became a cold witch. I can understand. I guess there's a price for immortality, huh? Thanks to you all, though, I've changed. Something about seeing you all try and take on fate with your own hands, just to have a shot at a normal life, it inspired me. Charlotta, can you let us join you on this mission to find the next Dragon Star? Zephy's right, we need to help each other. It was difficult for you to do it alone, but we are all here helping you. I think we can really make it happen. You can depend on us now, no more walking off and trying to do things alone. Yeah, you have us! You all really are so dumb. Is that a bad thing? To quote the great Ryuji Goda, a man ought to be a little stupid. But we enter chapter 10, the last chapter that makes you wary of the time limit. After this, we're in the clear. Yeah, it got so late. Yes, indeed it did. Although everyone's pretty tired, they all seem at peace. I guess I'm not the only one relieved that Charlotta's back. I'm so tired, I want to go to bed. Hey, knock it off, everyone. We're heading to the Star Temple tomorrow, so you better shape up before then. Wait, what, Charlotta? Are you seriously planning on heading out tomorrow? Of course, don't tell me you're tired just from visiting the Forest of Death. Well, it was a pretty tough battle. Charlotta might be okay, but it definitely took a lot out of the girls. Everyone's exhausted. I think we should rest for a day so we can head out fully prepared for anything, right? Zephy, we're fine. Don't worry about us. Right, we know Varnir's lifespan is coming to an end. We need to figure out something before then. That's right, Zephy. We'll be fine. Well, unless Zephy, the former Knight of Requiem, is too tired to fight anymore. That's another story, I suppose. You girls. Okay, let's leave tomorrow. Okay. Now it's decided, we need to make sure we eat before tomorrow. It's important we all get our nutrients. Yay! May I join? Sure you can! Thanks, I'd love to help. It's the first time she's wanted to eat. I never thought Charlotta would have asked to eat with us. And Karikara is actually letting her help. It's good to know their relationship is getting a little better. It's just like how I've started changing after I was able to empathize with them. Zephy, why are you zoning out? This food isn't going to prepare itself, you know. Oh, sorry, can I help too? Of course! Chef Karikara is about to teach you one of her secret recipes. Once you get on the other side of the Forest of Death, yeah, we still got some dark stuff to go, but the game starts to get more wholesome because the whole group starts to come together more as a family, and it's just, I love this part of the game. Since it's Charlotta's first time having dinner with us, I put in the secret ingredient. Can you watch the pot? Sure thing. I wonder what our secret ingredient is. Do you think it'll be worth it? I know if we leave it to Karikara, it'll definitely be worth it. Hey Charlotta, I want to tell you something. What is it? That diary we found at the Empire? I've been thinking about what was written on it, you know, about my mother being a witch. After thinking about it for a while, it's all started making sense to me. What do you mean? My father was eaten by a dragon, but there's no way a dragon could have got there. It was so far away from any forests or villages. And my mother was nowhere to be found. I never saw her again. It had to have been her. Oh yeah, right, Charlotta wasn't there when we had this conversation. And if my mother was a witch, it would make perfect sense for her to send me to a witch's den in case I needed help. Ah, the drawing. Yeah, she knew enough to know that the witches would help you. Yeah, I had witch's blood inside me. By drinking the dragon's blood, it just awakened powers that were already there. Yeah, well, glad you were able to get that off your chest. I, of course, already knew that about those. What? I mean, I was the one who told Corberia about that to make a deal a while ago. In the middle of one of your hunts, I told her to leave you behind in the forest. What? This was before I met you. So that's the situation. I see. Fascinating. Don't you think? I knew you'd think that. So when the Knights of Requiem go out for their next hunt, can you leave him behind? So that's what you want, Witch of Hellfire. What if Zephy doesn't turn out to be one a total abomination? Well, he's a low-tier knight, right? Someone could replace him in a heartbeat. I'm sure you won't miss him with these dragon food. Great point, you know. We should hang out sometime. Save it. I'm not interested. Seems we may not get along as well as I had assumed. Very well. I'll simply have to kill you the next time I see you. I can't remember Corberia's voice, but that's not too much of a worry. I had no intention of handing you over to Corberia, however. I was just planning on finding you first to awaken you. As it turns out, I didn't need to. I didn't know any of that. Are you mad? I guess I can understand that. No, I'm just thinking about the commander. She must have been interested in that possibility of torturing me if I was really a witch. But yeah, it doesn't feel good to be lied to like this. I'll let it slide this time since you finally told me. What? I would have never known about it, right? You didn't have to tell me, but you did. I can respect the integrity behind that decision. You have a point. Honestly, I wanted to tell you a lot sooner than I did, but as I spent more time with you all, I couldn't get myself to tell you because I was reminded of a feeling I'd forgotten a long time. What? We reminded you of a feeling and then you kept quiet about it? That doesn't seem like a normal response from you. No, that's not true. You found out your mother was a witch. You were going through a lot. How could I have then told you if I knew it would hurt you? What? Now just 1 minute. That never stopped you before. What about all the times you just told us things about the world that we weren't ready to hear? But she was afraid of hurting me, so she didn't tell me. Well, I told you things about witches that you needed to hear. The fate of the entire world rests on that knowledge. But I never had to share something so personal with you. I guess that's true. But Charlotta, why are you trying to make a deal with Corberia? Sorry it took me a while. I'll finish up here so you guys start preparing the table. Sounds good. Ah, bad timing. I guess I'll have to ask her later. All that's left are the forks and knives. I can help with the plates. How's this? Wow, today's dish looks really delicious. Yeah, Karikara is really excited to make it. Alright, they're all set. All that's left is the food. Yep, hey Charlotta, you got a minute? Did you want to talk to me in private? Not exactly, but I did want to continue our conversation from earlier. Oh, from which part exactly? I wanted to know why you were trying to make a deal with Corberia. Oh, that. I was aware of the possibility of a person who was half human and half witch, but I never imagined someone like that would still be alive. If their identity were known, I'm sure humans would hunt them, and if not that, their own mother might have attacked them someday. You're right, after my mother turned into a dragon, I could have definitely been attacked. In any case, I guess I was lucky that my mark didn't show up until my powers did. Indeed, when I first saw you, the young knight of Requiem, I was truly surprised. I thought that you might be the key, that you might be the one to become the successor to Dragonstar Varnir. That's why I decided to make a deal with Corberia, so I could get this to you. You think I'm the key to the Dragonstar? So there is something I can do? Well, probably not. It was just wishful thinking, honestly. What do you mean? Because of what happened to my friend, the one who made me my grave, there was a part of me that wanted to find hope in humans. Since you had both the blood of a witch and the blood of humans inside of you, I thought you might have been able to do something. Maybe I just wanted to believe that the love between a human and a witch actually had some kind of purpose behind it. Salvation. I see. But I think I know what it is now. I know what's needed to be the next Dragonstar. You mean it's not just intelligence? To the Dragonstar, the very planet itself, every creature living on it is precious. Intelligence is important, but so is empathy, a selflessness, a desire to protect the ones you love, even if you have to sacrifice yourself. Thank you for the food. I'm so happy everyone ate so much. Phew, I think I overdid it too. Are you okay, Charlotta? Yeah, it's no big deal. I'm just sleepy now. Feeling that food coma coming, eh? I can't help it. I haven't eaten in so long. I forgot how much energy it took to digest nutrients. What? What are you talking about, Charlotta? I'm curious. When was the last time you ate? Oh, I'm sure that was just a figure of speech. Nobody asked you, Zeffy. Charlotta, what are you talking about? Sorry, my eyelids are so heavy, I think I just need to knock out for a little. Zeffy, will you help me to bed? Well, sure, it probably would be better than just falling asleep here. Wait, Brother Zeffy. What is it? Monet wants to sleep next to Charlotta. Can you take Charlotta to Monet's room? Oh, that sounds fun. That's a great idea, Monet. I would normally decline, but we won't be seeing her for a while tomorrow, huh? Are you okay with that, Charlotta? Sure, that's fine. I'm just assuming she's yawning there. So we're just gonna let her sleep with the kids. That's kind of cute. Oh, and she's out like a light. Having a guy around sure comes in handy at times like these, huh? What, did he just carry her? Alright, I'll be going now. You're leaving, Brother Zeffy? Yeah! Oh! This whole scene's really adorable. Hey, watch out, you might hurt yourself. What are you doing? Monet was asleep next to Big Brother. I'll sleep on the other side then. Hey, what's going on? Hey, Zeffy, what do you think you're doing? I didn't know you were into that. No, this wasn't my idea. I'm sorry, Vanessa, we forced Zeffy to be in here. We were lonely and everyone else was busy. We just wanted to be next to our family. Well, I didn't. I like to have Manessa with the others around, not Zeffy. Alright, Shakita. You girls. What do you think, Manessa? I understand how you will feel. Well, okay, we'll make an exception for today. We'll be sleeping here too, though, okay? Mine is so happy. Thank you, Manessa. Sorry, Zeffy, do you mind sleeping here tonight? Ah, well, if there's a reason, sure. What? You sleeping here too? Oh well, I guess I'll let it slide. We've been so busy lately and haven't been able to spend time with the little sisters. So have a sleepover. That's so... Genuinely warms my heart. Hey, Zeffy, you still awake? Yeah, there's a lot on my mind. I thought you'd fell asleep. Have you been awake? I hear you. I just woke up. It's been a while since I've been able to sleep so peacefully. You don't usually sleep well, do you? Whenever I fall asleep, I always just think about the past, and that's never good. I can't imagine what she feels living as long as she has. I couldn't really offer words that she hasn't heard already, but you can always come to my room if you can't sleep. I'm here for you. Wow, that's bold, isn't it? What? I just mean I'm here to talk with you. I know. Well, it'd be nice if you helped me make my wish come true. What wish are you talking about? I just want the Dragon Star to be born safely and to finally enter a peaceful sleep. After my job's done, of course. I see. I'm going to put all of my energy into this to make sure it happens. Thank you, Zeffy. Come on, they belong together. In the main cutscenes, like those two have so many moments together from really on. Like, come on. Minnie will do her best looking after the den. Don't forget presents for us. You got it, but don't expect anything too crazy. Everyone, please come back safely. Of course! Come on, chin up! You all look like you're gonna start crying. I promise we'll come back safe and sound. Okay. I know it's hard, but we need to go soon. Right, alright everyone, watch over the house while we're gone, alright? Bye! For the sake of everyone, we need to find the next Dragon Star as soon as possible. I don't know what's up ahead, but we need to defeat the dragon at the last temple. There's no other option. And next time on Dragon Star VARNIR, we're going to be wrapping up a few more social links and spending more time with people before we head off to the next temple. But until then, you guys take care now.